Okay, it says we are live again.
Oh, good.
The home girls.
Hello, folks.
Here we are, home girl to home girl. Good morning. Happy Tuesday to our little Tuesday TeaFlix warriors.
Greetings.
That are there. See if can you see us live from the control pit, Mark? Refreshing. Jolly good. Yeah. So this morning, Tuesday, what is it? It's the 4th of November already.
Oh, there's elections today.
That's right, election day. Time to get the tree down, Mark. So today's guest, let me tell you a little bit about him. So his name is Ritesh Patel, and he's a serial entrepreneur and technologist, best known as the co-founder and chief executive officer of Ticket Fairy, a next generation ticketing and event marketing platform. So if you're a concert goer and or you hate scalpers or you love music, this is going to be a fascinating chat for you. Ritesh brings a blended background of event promotion, having produced hundreds, literally, of shows globally, and cloud engineering systems, enabling them to bridge the live events worldwide with high-scale technology. He co-founded the Ticket Fairy together with his brother Jigar Patel in 2011. So the company aims to disrupt traditional ticketing. I'm not supposed to say I hate Ticketmaster, but there you go.
But you didn't. No, you didn't.
But this is not in his official bio, but I hate Ticketmaster. So Ticket Fairy aims to disrupt traditional ticketing by combining ticket sale, marketing, analytics, and identity-locked tickets to cut scalping and increase attendance, which is genius. He says his prior experience promoting underground electronic music events made it clear to him how risky the event business is, high fixed costs, unpredictable attendance, and that insight shapes the platform's design. Technology-wise, Ritesh has led the product to rely on modern cloud architectures. For example, the platform is built with IBM's Cloud Service to ensure global scalability and reliability across festivals and venues for the organizers. Under his leadership, Ticket Fairy has expanded internationally, North America, UK, Australia, India, and Southeast Asia, and built features such as referral-based ticketing. Fans can earn rebates, listen up, he is perked up, for bringing friends, and integrated marketing analytics for the organizers on the back end. His skill set spans both event production, promoting shows, working with venues and talent, and technical product infrastructure, which is relatively rare, believe it or not, even in this day of technology, in the live event ecosystem. He also serves as a mentor for the Y Combinator Fellowship Program and is an alum of YC. Ritesh frames the live event industry as similar to a startup environment, high risk, big fixed costs, unpredictable outcome. And he believes the way to change the economics is through smarter technology plus marketing that engages fans as active promoters. It's the old street team thought. Mm-hmm. So he focuses strongly on making tickets fairer by reducing scalping and identity locking tickets. He's a hybrid entrepreneur, technologist, part event promoter, part cloud engineer, and he founded Ticket Fairy with the mission of transforming how live events are produced, marketed, and monetized. Under his leadership, the company aims to give event organizers more agency over their events and audiences better experiences while scaling globally using modern technologies. He's one busy man. He flies more than a damn pilot. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, CEO of Ticket Fairy, Ritesh Patel. Welcome.
Hello, Ritesh.
Hello. How's it going?
Hi. We actually have you sitting down in one place for a change. Every time we hear from you, Ruth always says, what country is in he now? You know?
I know. Yeah. Watching your social media makes me dizzy. I get jet lag just watching your Instagram.
Hey, it used to be way worse. I did 90 flights in 2019, and that was a bit.
Oh my goodness!
That's like one every third day.
It was pretty intense. I think it wasn't every week, but like some weeks there were 5, and some weeks, it was a bit nuts.
But last week, I mean, you went from meeting up with our buddy Nick Black down in San Diego at TwitchCon, and then you jumped on a plane and went to Amsterdam, even though you've just moved to San Francisco.
Yeah, and we'd done LA Tech Week event in West Hollywood directly before San Diego, so it was a little intense.
Good God! Yeah. So back to the egg, as we would say.
Yeah. Well, tell us about your early life and. What were your musical influences growing up?
Oh, wow.
You didn't expect that one, did you?
No, not really.
You don't have to say the Beatles, so it's okay.
No, you don't have to.
Honestly, growing up, it was very much kind of a mix of standard pop and Bollywood, I guess. And then I kind of I got to, I guess kind of 95, 96, started discovering the Ibiza-esque like house and trance and techno side of things,
Yeah.
like Cafe Del Mar, like, you know, like Kiss FM mix CDs. That was, you know, I guess like pinnacle of electronic music. And then went to uni in Bristol and fell head over heels in love with drum and bass, and that kind of went into starting to produce raves.
Wow. I mean, that was, but you were also, you've been on the artist side of things as Rit Locus, right? You have an alter ego.
I guess like that was accidental. It was kind of like, you know, producing gigs. It was like, wait a second, we don't have a warm-up DJ. I guess I'm gonna have to play some tunes. It was never intentional. It was kind of one of those ones where it was weird, because actually programming the events I was running, you'd think that drum and bass all sounds the same, but actually there's a lot of layers to it. And it's kind of like, okay, well, there's this very experimental artist that makes techno-influenced D&B. Here's someone that's more on the Brazilian side. Here's someone that is sampling old reggae and rare groove and is fusing it with drum and bass. And like, it's very, very, very varied as a genre, right? And so I'd be crate digging in record shops in Bristol and find these white labels and find these producers. And it would kind of be like, all right, wait a second. This record is incredible, but this artist has never played Bristol before, and I need to hunt them down and get them to come and play. And there were a lot of people that I guess weren't commercially viable enough for promoters in Bristol, where I was like, I don't really care. Like, I just need to like get them to the gig. And that's still kind of the way I think about it now. But as a result, like, you end up finding all these records that no one would really play, like the B-sides or the obscure producers. And as I started just like, you know, sometimes filling in a slot for a DJ, I'd play random stuff and people would go, well, hang on a second, what is that? And I remember this one set, and at the last, like, usually as a DJ, you have you play your music, you have your opening tune, you play in between, you know, whatever the crowd is feeling, or you're supposed to play whatever the crowd is feeling, and then at the end you kind of like play your outro track, right? And there's one time I remember playing a 5-minute orchestral piece that had no beats.
Surprise!
And you know, it's like, I love this, so why not? And the number of people that, including people who were performing that night, run up to the front going, what is this? And it was like, well, wait a second. I like this. I like, you know, once in a while, once or twice a year, if I get to play some tunes and you can surprise people or kind of like introduce them to something that they would never have thought that would fit in that environment. That's great.
That's great.
That is great.
Really,
it's a great feeling to know when you made people happy. Not only have you put on this whole event. My question for you is, because you started putting these on, how many years ago were your first events?
25. So January 2000 with a DIY cobbled together live stream over dial-up.
Oh, boy, ambitious. Bloody hell. And at what point did you figure out that the ticketing was just so annoying you were going to have to fix it yourself?
You know what? It wasn't the ticketing. I'll tell you, it's a weird one, because even with my company being called Ticket Fairy,
right,
I don't think of it as a ticketing platform, and there's a really good reason.
Okay, do tell.
So I guess like producing maybe 450 gigs.
Wow.
You realize that the business side of running events sucks.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, well, this artist that I'm booking, or these artists that I'm booking, are not commercially viable. They're not going to sell enough tickets, but as a creative, you want them. Sometimes you have to sell out a little bit and book a headline act just so that you can balance out the cost of someone who's less well known, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But even with all of that, most shows are going to lose money.
Yep.
and it's just one of those ones where like they don't, there's never a guarantee when it comes to events. And so over the years, it was like, wait a second, even this gig that I thought was a guaranteed sellout lost loads of cash because it rained on the night, or because there was another gig in town, or there was I remember one gig where like there was traffic after work in the city, and what that does is a knock-on effect. People get home late, they have dinner late, they get tired, they want to go to sleep now, and they don't come out to the show. Right. And there's all these weird factors that affect whether a gig's going to be successful or not. And then there was one show where I thought, oh, this is going to be dead because it started snowing.
Oh God.
And we were packed to capacity because everyone was like, I'm going to go out and play.
In the snow. Yeah, there is actually in show business, there is a technical term for that. It's called shit happens.
Yeah. And so like over those years, you kind of go, okay, well, nothing is predictable.
All right.
But there is, I guess, like there are things you can do to give yourself a helping hand. And so the thing that was evident was that like ticketing is boring. It's payments, like scalping and stuff comes later on. But at the end of the day, if the promoter of the show is losing money, or they're going to go out of business if they keep on losing money, or they lose motivation because they can't make the gigs sustainable, then you have a problem. Right. And so like I'd spent a bunch of time working in ad tech in various startups, and I was kind of like, wait a second, if you could build a digital marketing platform that allows the events to actually generate more revenue and brings in best practices where, like at the end of the day, a creative who's booking shows is always going to be, or is very unlikely to be technical. And they're definitely not going to have like, I guess like cutting edge digital marketing techniques.
Gotcha. Yeah. Because if you go to any of the normal, Eventbrite, Brown Paper, all of those people, you're sort of on your own for the marketing. They do the taking the money and giving you a list for the box office bit, but the marketing and the virality of it just isn't there, is it?
No, and it's one of those ones where most promoters don't have the budgets to hire full-time marketing staff on salary, or developers on salary. They don't have tech teams. They can barely afford to maintain and run a website that's just a page of what they're about, let alone have this like product and marketing in-house, right? So what was kind of the inception of Ticket Fairy was, well, let's wrap it around ticketing, because like you still ultimately want to be able to take a payment from someone and control the relationship with the consumer. But there's a load of other stuff you can do that is going to, I guess, like replace the need for a full-time tech team, or replace the need for someone who's like, doing all the tech configuration and things like that. And then you can bring in agencies to, run your ads and whatever. But ultimately, if we come in and go, we're kind of like an additional member of your team, and we're going to do the data science, and we're going to do the number crunching, and we're going to implement what big companies use as best practices for your tiny little gig or your venue, then that's what becomes really impactful. Right.
Because you've got like best in class tech stack with Ticket Fairy as the event promoter, without having to go through a third party like a Pacquiao or one of those big boys who's going to charge you out the wazoo, and then you're going to wind up being even more upside down financially, aren't you? If you
even if you do hire an external marketing team, often what happens is that if they're using an off-the-shelf kind of, I guess, old school ticketing system, they often don't have the attribution and the hooks inside it that allow them to measure if things are working or not. Or you might go, well, here's this like really amazing strategy we want to execute, but actually you can't do it because the tech that you're using for your ticket sales isn't sophisticated enough to give you the hooks into it.
Right. How does it work with these? Because we've got a lot of ticket concert goers here commenting. How does it work if I'm, Ruth Smith, and I want to go see this show, Ticket Fairy's the platform, and I want to tell all my friends, and do I get rewarded for any of that, for being a sort of digital diva street team person?
That was actually the original idea behind the initial idea behind the company. So back in the day, you would kind of say to someone, hey, bring 10 mates to the door with you and you get in free because you did all that work to round up your mates, right? And that's how you promote gigs. You kind of, there's word of mouth, and then you have a ringleader inside each group that typically goes, right, this is where we're going.
Right.
So, and at the time we started, there were a bunch of online street team platforms that you could sign up to, and you can earn money to promote gigs, and they would have to hook into the ticketing platforms. And none of it was really that cohesive, and it didn't really work.
Okay.
And the thing that we did was we kind of went, okay, well, if we implement the ticketing, and then when someone commits, they see a gig, they commit to the gig, they buy their ticket because they want to see, you know, Paul McCartney, or they want to see, you know, whatever DJ there is, right, Fabian Groove, right, whoever it is, they pay for the ticket because they want to see the artist,
right?
They trust the promoter's brand or whatever it is. Once they've committed their money and they're absolutely 100% committed to the gig, then the platform says, great, now tell everyone that you know, and you can get a refund back on your ticket cost as the reward.
Oh. Got it. But you've got the money first. You've sold a ticket. The promoter knows that is, you know, score one in the cash register.
Guaranteed revenue of one person at least in the group. Also, you're not cheapening the gig by discounting it. You're basically saying you have to pay full price first, and then if you can round up other people, then you're going to get that reward of getting the ticket money back. And that also means that people don't hold on to the very end to buy a ticket because they might get on the guest list. This is basically, the earlier you buy, the more opportunities you have to earn back that cash.
The rebates.
Yeah.
And like you said, for a brand or a band, it doesn't say, oh, you know, we're so desperate to sell tickets, we're giving away free ones, we're discounting it. You're just rewarding somebody a little increment at a time per ticket they sell, right? So that now they feel like the ringleader at the water cooler, they're king shit, and they, you know, hey, I'm bringing 12 mates to the gig and I got in for free in the end.
Yeah, and the thing is, those discounts are done kind of privately in the back end, so people don't know you're going for free. Like if I earn back 30% of my ticket cost and my ticket goes from 100 down to 70, I know that, the promoter knows that, but publicly the ticket price is still 100, and that means that the gig itself is still
top shelf. Yeah.
Top shelf, yeah, it's still top shelf. And that's the important thing, because the moment you start doing flash sales because of weaker, like it really cheapens the gig, and it also annoys people that paid full price early on. So none of that stuff happens with this.
I was just going to say, so it's sort of like a VIP behind the red velvet curtain club of, if you know, you know. If you're a promoter and you put your, you know, gig on Ticket Fairy, then all of that virality is going to secretly go to work behind the scenes, and it's not going to cheapen the band or the brand, and the band doesn't even need to know, really.
Yeah, exactly. And we show an influencer leaderboard on the ticket page, but you know, ultimately, like, that doesn't have any numbers behind it. It just shows that, you know, these are the fans that are the most engaged on the gig, and you can use that to maybe offer a backstage meet and greet if someone's done the best work.
Mm-hmm.
So,
you know, I think that is absolutely. Tell Ritesh and the kids a little bit about how ticketing worked in your day at the Royal Court.
Yeah, in my young days, I worked at a theatre in Liverpool called the Royal Court in the box office, and it was paper tickets and paper money. We didn't have credit cards or email or any of that modern shit. And there were about 5 of us worked in the box office, and we had these little windows, you know, and 10 o'clock in the morning, we'd open the little blind window, and there were always lines of people waiting. And sure enough, somebody would stick their head in the window and say, have you got any tickets?
Nothing but.
No, madam, no, we've got...
pastrami sandwiches.
Yeah, we've got rubber bands and shaving reels. Have you got any tickets? And then you'd lean back and say to your mates, I've got one. You know, there was always one of these loonies. And we had these paper plans with the layout of the seating, which you still see now. And on the front rows of upstairs and downstairs, we used to put red lines through them and not sell anything from there, because we'd keep them for potential VIPs or, you know, visiting royalties or dignities or whatever.
Yeah, holds on paper.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yes. And people would come in and say, I want 2 front row gangway seats, please. My mother's got a bad leg, so she has to sit on the aisle. And I'd say, well, which leg is it? Is she going to sit on the right or the left? Oh, I don't know. Well, that
I'll have
happened.
to think which leg it was.
And there was another time we were almost sold out, or we were saying we're sold out to people as the doors opened at night.
Was it a Noel Coward?
No, there was a clever guy said to me, what would you do if the Duke of Edinburgh wanted to come tonight and you're sold out? And I said, oh, well, we have seats which we hold for such events. And he said, well, he's not coming. I'll have the seat.
Nice.
I've actually used that to get into full hotels.
You know what the really cheeky technique is when you go up to a gig and you go, and there's a massive line outside, and you're like, I'm on the guest list, and they send you to the front, and you know you're not on the guest list, and then you're like, you're not down, sorry, and they go, all right, well, you're gonna have to pay. I was like, fine, but do I have to go in queue? And then it's one of those like super cheeky queue jump techniques, right? It's like, I know I'm willing to pay, but do I really want to queue? No, so I'm just gonna see if I'm on the guest list, and when I'm not, I'll still pay, but at least I didn't have to wait behind 500 people.
Or the other lovely one is when people show up to the VIP, will call, and they do the guest list thing, and they say, I'm sorry, and then they go, do you know who I am? Do you have any idea who I am? And that's when you stand up and you go, there's a person here at the front who doesn't know here. If anybody recognizes this person, can you tell him?
He doesn't know who he is.
Do you know who I am?
I've gotten into quite a bit of trouble at volunteering at front desk at events for that. Do you have any idea wwho I am? No, but let me find out for you, Dear God.
Honestly, like, I can just imagine you doing it and you pissing yourself laughing in the background.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
absolutely. So back to the beginning of founding the company.
So was entrepreneurship something that you and your brother imagined doing together from a young age?
Yeah. I mean, so like I started building software when I was 13 and got my secondary school to use it. And so that was like really early on for me. And then Jig used to like set up a virtual boardroom in our living room and have like all these pads with like brands he was going to create at his own airline and his like he was like 8 years old, right? So this was like a very early on thing where I guess we both had our paths of how we wanted to do things, and then we started working on some stuff together, like kind of mid 2000s. Worked on a couple of projects, and then this kind of didn't fall into our laps, but it became a really natural thing. And like back in the day, and he doesn't do it now, but back in the day, he was a really good vinyl DJ.
Oh wow!
Oh.
And so he would like drive down to Bristol and he'd play a couple of the gigs, but like never made it a career. But he was a really good DJ, and so I guess like when you've got a passion for all these things, they combine, and you're like, wait a second, like this could be our life's work, and it is.
That's fantastic. And where is Jigger based? Is he in London?
He moved to Dubai. He's been in and out of Dubai since about 2006, and I think he saw the potential for it even back then, even though I was a massive skeptic. Like I went to see him in 2007. I was like, why do you want to live here, dude? And he was like, no, it's got potential. It's gonna be a big deal in 10, 20 years. And obviously like now it's the done thing to move to Dubai.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Even though it's 52 degrees Celsius in the shade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what's the difference between Dubai in August and hell? Hell is slightly cooler, Yeah,
I mean, you definitely have to stay inside.
Yeah, that's just crazy. So were your family in business, or were they?
Yeah, we grew up we did the standard like Indian immigrant thing with, corner shops and stores, and we grew up on a very racist white council estate, and my dad got stabbed, and like it was a whole thing.
Oh God, my brain just won't do it. I can't. Yeah, it's not a road you can go down, because I guess racist people are just that. They are who they are, and there's no talking them out of it.
Yeah, there was one time where it was like 6 a.m. and he was alone in the shop, and someone came in and hit him over the head with like a radio.
Oh, what the hell? What is it? Well, increasingly more and more these days, which is why we drink on Tuesday mornings. You keep asking yourself, what the hell is wrong with people? But
yeah,
well, thank God
he's still got stitch marks on his chest from the stab wound.
Oh my Lord. He must be so proud. Your whole family must be so proud of you two.
Yeah.
I mean, you've done what, $300 million in ticketed events?
Yeah, well over 300 now through the platform. So it's a little bit, you know, the plan is to go into the billions, obviously, but 300 million is a good start.
It's not too shabby. It's more than
not.
Ange sold in the Royal Court Theatre in Liverpool.
Yeah, have you got any tickets? Sure. Yeah.
That's for sure. Did you, I mean, speaking of entrepreneurship and you talking about your brother in airlines, did you have any sort of Shark Tank type, role models growing up? Like, did you look at a Richard Branson and go, I can do that?
Richard Branson was always one of those ones where it was like, okay, this dude is very charismatic. He seems like a really good guy.
He is.
He's got this, I guess, like absurd, I'm gonna aim for the stars type mentality, right?
Yeah.
And that's very inspiring.
Yeah. And he's also dyslexic. So, if he can, and badly so, which is why when you see him doing conventions and, presentations and stuff, it's always a fireside chat because he can't, teleprompters just don't do it for him. He just mixes up his words and then he gets nervous and then he loses his shit, Have you ever met him?
So we got very lucky with this. In maybe a year into going full-time on the company, so this is like 2013, 2014, because we were like doing it part-time in 2011, but actually like going full-time was 2013. We got a UK startup loan and found some money to exhibit at a conference in Vegas. And through that, someone that we met basically was like, hey, I know you're trying to raise money, like you don't have any investors yet. I can get you an invitation to this startup event in Ireland. And I was like, well, that's random, but cool. And I looked up who was running the event, and it was the co-producer of the event was an organization called Mai Tai. And so Mai Tai was basically Susie Mai, who was a world champion kiteboarder, and Bill Tai, who now is the first investor in Canva and the first investor in Zoom. And, like he's got a really good pedigree. And I kind of looked up the events and I was like, wait a second, like we're going to this thing. I'm being told I can go to this thing in Ireland. But I can see they do events on Richard Branson's island. And like, wouldn't it be cool if, let's set myself a target within 12 months, can I get myself onto Richard Branson's island?
Right.
And got into this Dublin event, this Irish event, and then they were like, "Oh, we're doing this thing on Necker Island in February. It's a startup competition. You should come to that. If you can get hold of if you can find $1,500." And I was like, I'll find $1,500. And then eventually I made it onto the island.
Wow.
Met Richard briefly. And then a week after that, I was thinking, okay, I'm going to this event. I'm gonna book a week in San Francisco just in case I meet really good people at this startup competition, and then we can do follow-ups and do San Francisco. So I did that, and then that's when we raised our first money. Was that week in San Francisco, and got the first investor. Then we got into Y Combinator, and that for people that don't know, Y Combinator is the kind of, I guess, the world's top tech incubator, and it incubated Airbnb and Dropbox and Stripe and Coinbase and Instacart and everything in between. And the first investors that we got there were 4 Y Combinator partners in our angel round, and 2 of them were the founders of Twitch. One was the CEO of Reddit, and one was the head of AI at Apple. And these were all in our little 500K angel round in that little trip to San Francisco. And then off the back of that, we got into the Y Combinator program. And so 6 months later, I just finished presenting to a room full of VCs on the demo day of that program. Walk out to get some air, and Bill Tai, whose event I had been to on Necker Island, was outside on the phone, sees me walk past, grabs me and goes, "Hey, Retesh, we're looking for an alternative platform to Eventbrite. Are you interested in becoming our ticketing platform?"
Oh, wow.
And 10 years later, we still ticket those events.
And Twitch too, right?
And Twitch, yeah. And so we got in, and Twitch had just been acquired the previous year when we got those the founders as angels, and so they didn't really have any influence in whether we got that deal or not. So we had to go in and pitch for it.
Yeah,
right.
And yeah, so we did it. We did it in the early days, and then 2 weekends ago we did 25,000 people in San Diego, so that was great.
Yep, that's incredible. I mean, how many people are actually making a living on Twitch is incredible. A lot of people. I mean, you know, Nick Black, our Memphis genius, nickblackmusic.com, by the way. He's on 3 times a week. He does 3 or 4 hours, and he's got all of his fans, and they call themselves the Banana Army. One of the fans sent him a banana costume randomly, and now he's got a banana tattoo, and people meet him at airports in banana costumes, and he played for the Savannah Bananas, the baseball team. And that was all born on Twitch. And now, of course, with the live events, TwitchCon, if you're going to one of those, you can thank Ritesh and Jigga for your whole ticketing experience. So it's just amazing how technology has literally changed people's lives. I want to talk to you a little bit about scalping and how you address as in the business, we would call it the secondary ticket market, right?
Yes.
So I'm just, for an idiot perspective, I see some fantastic show like Oasis is coming on a platform. Let's say it's Ticketmaster. Don't know if it was. I get a number. I get in the queue. I'm lucky enough to get a ticket, which is still an outrageous price. Is that then my ticket to stand outside on the night of the gig and resell to somebody? Or how does scalping work? I mean, why are there even scalpers? How does it even work?
So it's really nuanced, right? Because if a high demand gig, you kind of think of it as, okay, there's limited inventory and there's potential upsell and I can make a profit if I buy them up. And I guess when you've got people that have a lot of money that can buy them all up in bulk and they can see they can flip them for a profit, that's very attractive. And then you get them listed on secondary sites and you don't know if they're real, and then maybe they're marked up 100%, 200%, 300%. You've got the fans not getting them for the price they should be getting them at.
Yeah. Right. And then that gives the artist a bad reputation. I know my poor stepbrother, people are like, you need to call him and tell him his tickets are too expensive. Well, where are you buying them? You're not buying them directly from his organization. They've been through 3 sets of hands and marked up, you know? Yeah.
So we kind of did something very early on. So 2014, so like 11 years ago, we sat down with a client of ours. It's a festival. It's a drum-based festival in Sardinia called Sun Bass. And they were starting to sell out very, very early and have problems with secondary market. And so we sat down, I flew to Berlin where the team is and sat down with them, and we kind of spec'd out this thing where, and we already had names on tickets. Right. So it's kind of like you buy 5 tickets, you have to name 5 tickets.
An ID, yeah.
And then what we did with them was, with this client, was that we spec'd out so that when a show sold out, it would go into waitlist, and on the ticket page, it would ask you for your name and email address because you didn't have tickets yet, but you still needed them. And then if you had one, you could go into your account and say, okay, the 5th person in my group can't make it anymore. I'm going to click sell next to that ticket. And it would say, okay, who do you want to sell it to? Do you want to sell it to the waitlist because the show's sold out? And we'll find a buyer for you and we'll offer it to them. Or do you have a specific friend that wants to buy it, that wants to take it off your hands? And you have like either of those options. And in both scenarios, you have to sell it for face value and what you paid for it. Yeah. And it's a clean transfer, and we're basically handling the money in the middle. We're canceling the QR code when the ticket's sold. We're issuing a fresh one to the new buyer so that they know the seller can't just show up at the door and use that before them. And you become kind of an escrow trusted layer in the middle of all of that. And that festival we're still working with them, I guess, like 12 years later. Wow. And they don't have scalping, because what happens is that when you show up at the check-in, you have your passport, you have your QR code, the name on the QR on the ticket, and the passport have to match. And if they match, you get issued your wristband.
Wow.
It's not that difficult.
It's like a boarding pass for, you can't just send somebody else on your,
exactly like a boarding pass.
Well, I'm taking
right. You have to go through the whole, the security layer.
Yeah. So airline ticketing is exactly how you would describe it, like but for gigs. And the fact is, you can't be strict unless you can transfer it. So now because we give you a mechanism to transfer it, it's okay to ask for the names, because there is a way to move ownership later on, but it has to be done through the trusted system. But on the flip side, right, like if you think about why scalping, it can be beneficial, and this is like, you know, a really controversial devil's advocate view on this. Scalping is bad for the fans, but let's say that I'm a promoter and I'm risking $10 million to throw this tour.
Okay.
And I'm booking top tier talent, and we're doing, we're doing 10 or 20 dates, and I basically, if I don't sell out this gig, this tour, I'm screwed.
Right.
If the scalpers buy up all my tickets, as far as I'm concerned as the promoter, I've now made back my money and I've sold all those tickets, and it's up to the scalper to take the risk of then being able to resell them on.
Right. And also, if you have an ego in the game, which most of those people at that level do, it's actually good for your branding, because now people are, doubling and tripling what they'll pay.
And it shows sold out, and it shows demand, and there's all this stuff, right? Whereas, and actually, what the scalpers facilitated is two things. One, it's made your gig look more valuable than it is, and B, they've just de-risked all the money that you had contractually committed to give to the artists.
Wow.
And so that's why a lot of shows don't try and discourage the scalping, and they also almost like scalp their own tickets as well, because the margins are so thin in this business and the risk is so high that in many ways it's actually beneficial for the venue or the promoter to enable the scalping.
Yeah, Elizabeth, our friend from Pennsylvania, is saying she saw 2 David Gilmour tickets near the stage, no VIP meet and greet, for almost $25,000. How can people get away with that thievery? She saw it on Ticketmaster resale. So do some platforms have their own resale platforms?
They do now, yeah. So Ticketmaster launched inbuilt resale a few years back. We did it in 2014, so we were kind of really ahead of the curve.
But one-to-one face value, right? You can't just.
That's the thing. I think the difference is that we still only allow face value, and a lot of the other platforms allow you to do markups still. Some set a cap. They go, you can only sell 10% above face value, so that
business is business.
That's fair. You can make a little bit of a spread on it, but you can't double the ticket price or triple the ticket price or 10x the ticket price in many cases.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. God forbid you've got 3 girls under the age of 15 who are all Taylor Swift fans. I mean, there goes the mortgage payment, doesn't it? Crazy.
More than the mortgage payment, I think.
Yeah. Marianne is asking, has buying huge blocks of tickets been stopped? I've seen where tickets are limited to 4 or so, a low number and no more. I guess it depends on the artist, the platform, and
you can. I mean, it's certainly within hours you can set a limit, and often there's a few reasons for that. So one is so that people can't just buy up huge blocks.
100%.
2 is that the more individual buyers you have, the more data you get.
Yeah.
So you might say, okay, well, Angie's allowed to buy 4, Ruth's allowed to buy 4, but now I have 2 email addresses rather than 1, and therefore I have more insight into the insight of my customers, and that's 2 people I can market to next time rather than 1.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's brilliant.
That makes sense.
It's such a Elizabeth is saying, I hope so. I can't imagine how you got from sort of you and Jigger got from coming through vinyl record shops in Bristol to $250,000 in event and ticket sales.
$250,000.
Well, it's $250,000. I'm sorry, 300 million. 300 million, not a third. Sorry, I'm not the one that does the bookkeeping. That's her.
No.
My mind is boggled listening to all of this.
300 million, $250 million. Sorry.
$250 million.
How the bookkeeping works.
Yeah,
oh my God.
It's just. I'm blown away. And so, do you have specific? When you said you had a leaderboard, do you see people who are Ticket Fairy fans who sort of do that across the board for many of the same genre type of gigs, or do you see the leaderboard changes from artist to artist or festival to festival?
We have a couple of different levels of leaderboard. So one is per gig, and that basically shows who's been the most engaged within a specific show. And then a venue or a festival brand gets an aggregated leaderboard across all of their events historically. And what they can see is, who are my most engaged fans? like how many gigs have they been to, what's repeat attendance, what's their lifetime spend on tickets, but also what have they managed to convince their friends to buy over the historical set of events that I've run, because that's actually more important, is like, what do I get other people to buy? Because that's likely to be 10 times more than what I spend myself, right? And that's really, really, really key in identifying who the super fans are, because what you find is that the super fans will buy the early bird tickets that are cheap, but they'll keep on sharing for the next 6 months and generate tons of revenue. We had one example for a show we powered where someone spent $80 on a ticket, bought an early bird, and managed to convert 56 ticket sales and brought in $6,500 in revenue for the gig.
Wow. And all you had to pay them back was their $80, right?
Correct. But then the event could go, we want to look after you, we want to take you backstage, we want to make sure that you're valued, we want you to know that you're valued. And that's really, really key.
That's how a fan gets noticed, right? And becomes an official influencer. Because, you see a lot of these things on social media, don't you? Ange gets hit up all the time from Mrs. McCartney's teas. I'm an influencer and I can, okay, prove it. Where's the data? But
yes.
With Ticket Fairy, you can see who's actually the movers and shakers.
I think where we kind of go a little bit overboard on the amount of data that we collect in terms of attribution and understanding where things come from and figuring out what's converting or not. I mean, it's a really important thing to know. And often, like, the event promotion approach is very much spray and pray, right? It's like, let me do everything possible, and I'll do this and this and this and this and this, and I don't know what's going to work. And like, there's a really famous marketing quote, which is like, 50% of my marketing drives most of my revenue, but I don't know which 50% is actually the stuff that's working. And so the more you can identify, the more you can cut things that don't work, and you can double down on things that do.
Wow. Yeah, no, that of course, if you've got the intel and you see that Instagram's working but Twitch isn't, or depending on the demographic or the age of the fan and the act, Facebook might be working, but Twitter isn't doing a thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we kind of have all the integrations into the ad networks, and like, if you run a meta ad, if you run an Instagram or a Facebook campaign to our ticket pages, we track it all the way through, so you can see, okay, this many clicks came through to the ticket page, this many people started buying, this many people converted into purchases. That was the dollar value of each purchase, so that in the ads manager you see a very specific ROI and conversion rate on that spend.
And that's a return on investment for those of you who aren't in business. But that's just amazing. So it's really an intel platform that at the end of the day happens to sell tickets, isn't it?
Very much so. The actual ticket transaction is the most boring part, and over the years, like, it's kind of, you realize, okay, well, the fans can help you bring in 20% more in sales, but there's probably 10 other places where there's 5% here, 5% here, 5% here, and suddenly you've gone from losing 20% on your gigs to having 100% profit margin, and that's unheard of in events. And so that's really what we're trying to work towards, is like all those different things that you can employ that allows you to unlock the margin you didn't know existed, or you might have needed a really expensive team to unlock that margin, and now we let you do it.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, do you only or do you specialize in musical events or whatever? Have you got any part of the platform that can handle like food and wine events? Is that something you're looking at?
We've started to do that. We've done some beer festivals. The food and wine side of things, there's something that we're going to roll out that incorporates being able to shoot tasting tickets and all this kind of stuff, where, like, because you don't just have the entry of a food and wine festival. You've got like vendors and tasting tickets and coupons you can redeem against 2 glasses of wine here and some cheese somewhere else, and obviously, like, you need to track all of that so that the vendors get given their cash at the end of it.
Right.
So we haven't put too hard into it until we know that stuff is really solid.
Yeah, because obviously in my world, dealing with chefs and restaurants every day for PR, there are so many. Houston, for example, weirdly enough, we have a lot of clients in Houston, and so my focus is, okay, I'm building out a calendar, because one does not exist, of all of the food and wine related festivals in Houston, and there are literally 2 or 3 every week.
Oh wow!
Throughout the year, yeah, no, it's unbelievable. We're trying to find space to put another. So David Skinner, who is our Choctaw chef down in Kemah, he did right before the pandemic in August of 2018, of 2019, sorry, he did something called Around the World in 10,000 Bites. And he had 101 people eat a 101 course meal in the dinosaur hall of the Houston Natural History Museum. It was $1,000 a head. It was 101 courses, and it was paired with wines. And he had 10 countries from around the world, 46 chefs from around the world. And we literally sold out in minutes, even though it was $1,000 a ticket. But when I was just trying to build the rudimentary ticket on Squarespace, I was dealing with things like food allergies, dietary restrictions for religious things. Is this halal? Is that vegan? Is that so? There's so much more that goes into that.
Definitely. And we have all of that. We can do data capture per individual attendee because each ticket is named. You can ask for those fields for each person and say, okay, well, I had this morning on a call with a festival in the UK where they sell child tickets. And I was like, okay, well, we can actually add a data capture field for the child ticket only, which is, what's the emergency contact if the child is lost? And
oh, yes.
You can do that on the food festival side. You can collect that information per attendee as well.
Wow, that's amazing. Mark Lindsay's on from Houston. He said it was amazing. Yes, it was an amazing night, Mark. You were there. I didn't sit down all night. We were filming it for a documentary, so I didn't even get anything to eat. We had all this food. It was just absolutely nuts. Barbara's saying, congratulations, Mr. Patel, for paving your way despite the early challenges.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And still paving, right? I mean, you're building
we have a bunch of new stuff coming that's really fun. But just kind of quickly going back to your point about not having had that food, even though you were so heavily involved, right? I think this is the thing that people don't realize is that as the promoter, you don't actually get to enjoy your own event until the last 20 minutes when everything's done and everyone's happy and things are running smoothly. And the last 20 minutes is when you get to go, all right, cool. I can just chill out for a little bit. And then the gig's over.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the last 20 minutes of this show where I get up and find a bottle of wine that's hiding in the fridge. Because it's past noon now. I can swap my apple juice. Join the mother. Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. When you're the promoter of any kind of gig, food, wine, whatever it is, you're just so in the event and in the moment that you just don't, and you're worried about 10,000 different things. If you're a good producer, you're worried about 10,000 different
Well,
things.
about 3 years ago, I brought my events brand back and started producing a festival because I'm a lunatic and haven't got enough to do already.
In Tulum in Mexico.
And now in Bali as of last year. And it's 4 or 5 day international festival, flying in between 60 and 80 artists, handling all of those logistics and
oh my God.
It's a bit insane, but you walk around the gig and me walking on my own gig, I'm so tense. I'm just what can go wrong? Is everyone here? You're running between the rooms and people stop you and go, it's such an amazing show. You're only having a good time. I was like, no, I'm not having a good time. I'm going to have a good time right at the very end when everything's done.
Yeah. When the fire marshal pulls out of the parking lot. That's what we always used to say.
It's the thing. It's I think this is the underlying thing in events, right? There's such a massive divergence in perception versus reality. And it's you go to a gig and there's 5,000 people there as a punter. You go to a gig, there's 5,000 people and it's a great show. And you think, okay, great. I've spent my $80. Maybe I'll whinge about the weight of the bar or something like that. And then what you don't understand is that gig took a year of preparation. The promoter actually needed 10,000 people, not 5,000 people. So they just lost 500 grand. And everything's a disaster, but on the outside, it looks amazing.
Yeah, well, there's no business like show business, right? What? And quit show business? But yeah, no, we always used to say in production, if we were shooting, a commercial or a music video or something inside a bar or a club or a restaurant, whatever, the happiest moment of the shoot was when you crack that wrap beer and the fire marshal's truck pulls out of the parking lot. It's otherwise it's full panic all the time if you're doing it, if you care. You do it right.
This is the thing, is that event producers, by their very nature, are they're creatives, right? And so they're just I don't release my set times for my festival until 2 days before, and everyone's like, "Are you mental?" Everyone's so stressed out. They want to know when everyone's performing. I'm like, but it isn't perfect. it's not perfect. So like I need, and so like, you know, I've got to learn to like do that planning earlier on, but because I'm so obsessed with like the balance and the progression and the flow, and you know, like what you feel like to the fans, like standing in the venue, and is the right artist playing before the right artist, and it's a real thing. It's a very artistic process, right? And then if you combine that with the practical logistics and the stress, like suddenly you're like, well, why would anyone do it? And this is like I think the thing that has been a recurring theme over the years. It's like, this is a business that has no logic behind it. You could lose 500 grand on a gig,
right?
You'd then go and have to find that 500 grand that you lost to go and pay everyone,
right?
And then you'd be like, right, let's do the next show and risk losing another 500 grand. Because
oh my God. Yeah, well, it's like the bumblebee, isn't it? Nothing aerodynamically says that a bumblebee should fly. The bumblebee doesn't know that it shouldn't fly. It just gets up and flies. I mean, you know, it's big and fat in the middle. It's got these little tiny wings, and then it gets full of pollen. It should just fall straight out of the sky and crash. And I'm glad they don't. But, you know, you just cannot tell a bumblebee, dude, you're not built to fly, don't try, because they just do.
You're getting a little bit silly now.
No, it's the bumblebee theory.
Bumblebee theory.
It is.
Well, how many years did a bumblebee have to evolve to finally work? It's like a Wright brothers thing, right? Like the plane, you try the plane, it doesn't work the first time, you tweak it, you do the next thing. And that's like running any business. Like that's exactly the same. It's iteration constantly, over and over again. You fail, you tweak, you try again, you fail, you tweak, you try again.
Yeah.
And that's the way it needs to work. And everyone fails 1,000 times before they make it big.
But failure is the definition of success, isn't it? Because if you keep failing and not tweaking and doing the same thing over and over, that's the definition of madness.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or you might go, well, you know, the timing wasn't right, let me try again. But you always adjust. And I think that
what I was going to ask you, looking ahead, what excites you most about the future of entertainment, technology, and fan engagement?
What's the next level for Ticket Fairy?
What's next?
Well, we're about to do something fun, which is be able to provide funding to events and venues for when they need to pay their artist deposits and things like that. So that will, I think, help a lot. But a big part of the stuff we have coming is just in the platform in general is more tools for particularly smaller teams to be able to do way more than they would have been able to before with the resources they have. So the idea is to like bring in more on the event management side into Ticket Fairy, more on the logistics, more on kind of the finance side, because once that's in and you've got the creative side of the business able to actually focus on that becomes really exciting. Wow. So that's just like from my side. I don't know if I have strong enough opinions on entertainment in general of where I see that going, because like that's quite a controversial topic at the moment, because there's so many, I guess, like big events companies and the same talent being booked over and over and over again.
Yeah.
That like it kind of often isn't that interesting.
Right. It's nothing new. It's sort of rinse and repeat while it's safe to do so, right?
And also the same gigs are booking, like there's not, so people are booking the same artists, right? So like
that's what I mean. While they can still know that they can still get another pound of flesh out of, you know, XYZ before she turns 75 or whatever.
Yeah, well, like, you know, say previously like a festival that specialized in a specific genre. Let's say it was like heavy metal and rock based.
Yep.
Now they're diluting that with adding electronic because they know that it sells, and so, you know, like it becomes tricky. Eventually, everything becomes homogenized and the same.
It's like bad fusion cuisine, isn't it? Just because these two kitchens or these two cuisines are great doesn't mean they work together.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, you might like Asian food and you might like Italian food, but would you go to an Asian Italian restaurant? Probably not. You know,
there's Japanese Italians, and I think they're actually okay.
Oh, well, there's an amazing Peruvian Japanese called Pachinike in Houston. Masaru Fukuda, whom we don't represent, but he's just doing incredible stuff, because, you know, a lot of the Peruvian diaspora is from Japan, believe it or not, and vice versa. So
there's a lot of Japanese people in Brazil as well.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's, you know, it's warmer. There's that.
Yeah.
And the music's.
I will say though, like just on the opposite end of it, there is a really healthy underground music scene at the moment.
Good. That is great. I mean, and technology is sort of, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? It's made so much more music available, but it's diluted it to the point where there's the quality and the genres, and people like Spotify who pay 0.0003 cents per stream to the artist. You know, yes, you can get your music out there, but are you getting paid for it? Which is why what you guys do, these live events, are so important, because it's just, it's the vibe of actually.
Well, it's how people eat these days, right? Like, it's touring, and that's why a lot of people have gone back into touring, because music streams don't pay the bills anymore.
That's right.
Recorded music doesn't pay the bills anymore.
Right.
And now everyone's touring, and there's only so much money to go around as well. So now, like, there's the opposite extreme where there's too many gigs happening.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah.
So I guess one of the things that we've said over the years is we have to stay focused as a platform. Like, my goal is to keep the event organizer in business.
Yep.
Because they're taking all the risk, right? If their gig fails or if their venue fails, then actually not very good things happen, because if you think about it, like, one business failing, normally you think, oh, you know what, that doesn't really that's no big deal. A single restaurant goes out of business, whatever, like, it's no big deal. But with events, it's actually a massive deal because of the economic impact, right? Like, if Coachella goes out of business,
oh my God,
then you've got hundreds of millions, if not $1 billion in GDP lost in that area, the Indio Palm Springs area. They've lost, hotel reservations, restaurants,
Uber drivers, food delivery, the people who deliver
the stage build companies, all the freelancers working.
Yep.
And it's if you think about it in that sense, that, like, these events companies, you have to think of them not as just independents, but you have to think of them as, like, having thousands of staff, and as if they were a big conglomerate, right? If a big conglomerate went out of business, there'd be a massive impact on the economy. And it's kind of similar. It just happens to be that they're using freelancers, not full-time staff, and the revenue comes through, like, goes to businesses, local businesses, but it's still a massissive impact.
Well, and then there's a massive trickle down from if an ecosystem collapses, whether it's in the ocean or at Coachella, God forbid, the sales tax doesn't get collected. So then the state, who is, like California would be Coachella, they don't collect the sales tax. So then, then they have to have measure A and measure B to update that tax amount in the treasury. Yeah. No, I think
what confused me about why there isn't more support for the arts, because the thing is that it's not just like, hey, here are some people trying to make some music and paint some paintings and, like, do some graffiti or whatever. Like, there's actually, like, real impact here, and it doesn't get the support that it needs.
Right. Paul Moody, our friend who's watching down in Playa del Rey at the Harbor Room, he lives on the beach in Playa. He's saying my neighbors, and what he means by that is 2 doors down from him are the family that own the Indio Fairgrounds and help put Coachella on every year. So if you need an introduction, Ritesh, I can introduce you to Paul. And come down to Playa. We'll have a beverage and we'll go hit up the Coachella people.
I'll fly over this afternoon.
Okay. Well, kettle's on. Thank you so much for spending this amount. I know how crazy busy you are. So this has just been a fantastic catch up with a friend.
Eye opener, yeah.
Yeah, and also just a great insight to the whole ecosystem and how Ticket Fairy is really different, and you're just trying to, a rising tide lifts all boats, right?
That's the goal. I mean, look, we kind of approach this from a very hippie perspective. It's like they don't need to be losers. I think this, like, the entire business is built on an everybody wins model.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the comments are pouring in. Thanks for the show. Yep. Paul's like, come on down. We'll make the intro to the Coachella folks. That would be fun. So, Ritesh, you don't know because you're not a regular viewer, I'm sure. But at the end of every show, Angie likes to write a limerick for our guests, because she has a book out on Amazon called Mrs. McCartney's Liverpool Limericks and Other Random Irish Haikus. And so she put pen to paper just for you, because you're a nice Irish lad. And I'll let her count the speed in, and then we will read you out with our limerick. Are you sitting comfortably?
I'm very comfortable. Thank you very much.
Then I'll begin.
We'll begin. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Ritesh and his bro had a dream to make ticketing fair. What a scheme! With tech and some flair, they made ticketing fair. And fans love it too, it would seem. Ta-da!
Don't give up your day job.
That's the official Ticket Fairy limerick. We'll email it to you right after the show.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
See you soon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, we're right by LAX. You know, we've been to the house. You know where we live. Kettle's always on, and there's a not so swanky single bed in the spare room. So if you get stuck here overnight, you know, hit us up. Bring a toothbrush, and we'll cook together because you're a great.
That would be great.
Oh, yes, that'd be good.
That's absolutely fantastic.
Okay.
All right, my sweet.
All right.
Lots of love, and we will see all of you TeaFlix Tuesday monsters this time next week.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.